All right, let's talk about one of Hollywood's all-time great character actors. You know, the man who basically perfected the on-screen scowl, the one and only James Tolkan.
Oh, you absolutely know this guy. I mean, that intense stare, that gravelly voice just barking orders. If you grew up in the 80s, he was the face of every strict principal, every tough-as-nails commander, or no-nonsense cop you saw on screen. He was just the man.
He was so incredibly good at playing that part that it's kind of easy to forget there was a real person behind it all. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get to know the man who defined an entire archetype.
And you know, when we talk about James Tolkan, there's really only one place we can possibly start. It's got to be the role that turned him into an absolute icon and, yeah, gave the world a brand new favorite insult.
You can hear it right now in your head, can't you? That one line from Back to the Future. As Hill Valley High's Principal Strickland, he points that finger at Marty McFly and boom, in that one single moment, he cemented himself in pop culture history forever.
And that performance wasn't just a funny line, it had a huge cultural impact. See, the word slacker had been around, but it was the way Mr. Strickland said it, that constant, dripping disdain that just launched it into the stratosphere. He basically single-handedly turned it into the ultimate put-down for the 80s and 90s.
But here's the thing, he was so much more than a one-hit wonder. That role as Strickland, that was just part of a larger pattern. Let's be real, in the 1980s, if you were making a movie and you needed a guy to yell at your hero, you called James Tolkan, period.
And this is what's so cool. It shows his range even inside that tough guy box. Think about it. Just 1 year after Back to the Future, he's on an aircraft carrier in Top Gun, delivering another all-time classic line, this time chewing out Tom Cruise. The guy just completely commanded every single scene he was in.
I mean, just look at this lineup. A hardline FBI agent in WarGames? Check. A super skeptical detective in, of all things, Masters of the Universe? Check. Tolkan absolutely became the go-to guy for playing these intimidating, I don't have time for your nonsense authority figures. He was like the human roadblock for an entire generation of movie heroes.
So you see all this and you probably think, okay, this guy must have just been a tough guy in real life. But you'd be wrong. His real story is actually way more impressive and, frankly, pretty surprising. To really get where that on-screen intensity comes from, we got to go back, way back. Just take a look at this journey. This isn't your typical Hollywood story. After serving in the Navy, he rocks up to New York City with, get this, $75 to his name. 75! He's working on the docks just to get by while studying acting with the absolute legends. We're talking Stella and Adler and Strasberg. And long before he was ever Mr. Strickland, he was on Broadway winning awards as part of the original cast of David Mamet's masterpiece Glengarry Glen Ross. Wow.
And this is what I find so fascinating. On screen, we see this tough, intimidating guy. But off screen, the reality was he was this incredibly respected, classically trained stage actor. That intensity you saw, that wasn't just a guy yelling. No. That was pure, disciplined craft, sharpened over decades in the demanding world of New York theater.
So, all that training, all that discipline, well, it paid off. It led to an incredibly long and really varied career. I mean, yeah, the 80s were his blockbuster years for sure, but his work stretches all the way from gritty 70s crime dramas to iconic 90s sitcoms. Way back in the 70s, for instance, he had this small but totally memorable role in the classic film Serpico. He's playing this really unpleasant police lieutenant who's going head-to-head with Al Pacino. And even back then, you can see it, that signature, unmistakable intensity is already there. And then, get this, talk about range. He popped up in a Woody Allen comedy, Love and Death, playing not one, but two roles. He's Napoleon Bonaparte and a look-alike imposter. It's hilarious, and it just goes to show he had some serious comedic chops, too. And he didn't stop when the 80s ended. Nope. He kept working in huge movies, like Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy. Remember that one? He played Numbers, the accountant for Al Pacino's gangster villain, Big Boy Caprice. Another great role. He even took that same stern persona and brought it to TV. He did this brilliant guest spot on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, playing this super tough professor who just will not cut Will any slack. Seriously, the guy was everywhere.
And all of this brings us to today, and really, the reason we're doing this explainer. It's about paying tribute to the man who somehow made getting yelled at on screen completely and utterly memorable.
So we learned that James Tolkan passed away on March 26, 2026. He was 94 years old, and he left behind just an incredible body of work and a legacy as truly one of the all-time great character actors.
And almost immediately, tributes started pouring in. Michael J. Fox, his most famous on-screen slacker, shared this just beautiful message, and it so perfectly references that dynamic they had on screen. Just perfect.
And then Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown himself, he paid his respects by twisting one of the most famous lines from the movie. It was just such a touching nod to their shared history, to being part of that Back to the Future family.
And Leah Thompson, who played Lorraine McFly, she gave us a glimpse of the real man behind that famous scowl. She remembered him as this kind, beautiful, and wonderful actor and friend. And that, right there, it just says everything about the difference between the characters he played and the warm person he actually was.
So, when it's all said and done, what is his legacy? What do we remember about the man who just seemed to always be scowling at our heroes?
It's funny. In the end, it really all comes back to that one single word. He was famous for calling everybody else a slacker. But when you look at his life, at a career built on pure discipline, on incredible craft, and on that unforgettable intensity, well, James Tolkan was the furthest thing from it. He was truly one of the best. Rest in peace.